everybody, happy Sunday. We are going to tell you all about our romantic overnight trip to Vis Croatia, inspired by the movie Mamma Mia 2. Stay tuned for all the details. We're Chris and Steve, an early retired couple who sold everything to travel the world full time. We share our Nomad life, hikes, and vegan eats. Grab our book, 2 Carry-Ons and a Plan on Amazon, and follow us on social. Subscribe to catch our video every Sunday. So where are we?
We are still in Split, Croatia, and we've been here for about 6 weeks. We're leaving in a couple of days, and you would think that we would have run out of amazing things to do in this country, but we haven't. This week, we're telling you about an overnight trip that we took to the island of Vis, and it was just spectacular. So, why did we go to the island of Vis?
So if you walk along the Riva, along the waterfront in Split, you'll see all kinds of vendors all sitting along the waterfront trying to sell you these 9-hour, 10-hour trips to any of the islands. And one of the trips that you see all along from the vendors is the 5-island, 1 day to the Blue Caves, and to the Blue Cave and the Green Cave and another island and this, that, and the other, all going to Vis. And so we went and talked to them, and we told them that we had heard that Mamma Mia 2 had been filmed on Vis, which actually it's the set of the movie is in Greece, but it was actually filmed in Croatia. And we wanted to go see some of the scenes or some of the sets where Mamma Mia 2 was filmed. So when we're talking to the people there and we're telling them that's what we want, they're telling us back what they think we want to hear. And we're not quite convinced that signing up for the $125 a piece 1 day trip to the Blue Island and the Blue Cave and the Green Cave and the island of Vis was going to get us what we wanted from Mamma Mia. So we went home and did a little research. And what did you find out about Vis?
Yeah, so Vis is actually the largest or the furthest inhabited island in the Adriatic Sea, off the coast of Croatia. It's a small island. It's only, about 33 square miles, about 90 square kilometers. And it's the highest peak on it is 2,000 feet of elevation. So it's a very hilly, very rocky island. But it also has a lot of secluded beaches. It's got a couple of main towns. The port town is the town of Vis. And then there on the other side of the island is the town of Komiza. A lot of little towns kind of in between and dotted throughout the island. But it's an amazing place, and it's amazing that Chris and I both kind of did some reading on where was the Mamma Mia 2 filmed, because it was filmed all over the island in various different places and various different scenes. And of course, it looks very much like a Greek island because that's what it was supposed to be. But what an amazing place for a romantic getaway.
So when we started figuring out that we could take the local ferry on Jadrolina and also stay the night and do all the things we want to do for Mamma Mia, and we're going to tell you about our e-bike experience, we could spend like $150 for a 24-hour experience that we got to do exactly what we wanted to do, rather than a $250 experience going to places that we didn't want to go. As a matter of fact, we even researched the Blue Cave and the Green Cave and found out that they might be a little overrated and a little touristy and have a lot of people and a lot of boat traffic and maybe might not be something that we would enjoy. Your mileage may vary, but we decided we did not want to do those. It kind of felt like snorkeling in Cabo San Lucas with the crowds, if you've ever done that. So anyway, we decided to pass on that. So after doing some research, you booked, what the ferries were, how much?
Yeah, the ferry was, round trip was €26 for the both of us. Which I thought was really reasonable. It's about 2.5 hours to get there. And because the ferry schedules have changed because we're getting into the shoulder season, it was just completely unrealistic to try to get there and get back in 1 day. So it really was perfect for an overnight adventure.
And so the ferries come into Vis, and then on the opposite side of the island is a little city named Komiza, where some of the major Mamma Mia scenes were filmed, and we really wanted to get over there. So what we figured out is we'd take the ferry into Vis and then get over to Komiza. So you booked a place on Booking, right?
Yeah, I found a nice place on Booking.com. I also looked on Airbnb, and for those of you who've done the comparisons, for me, I found that if it was just one night, what was available with Booking.com was much more affordable, and we found a really nice place. It was it's kind of a studio efficiency, not even a block away from the marina. Had a nice outside veranda, so that was great because that was a place that we could keep the bikes and keep them secure and charge them overnight, which was important to us as well. So Booking.com was the winner for this one.
So we booked the place. So when we got to Vis, we thought that it was about 1:30 in the afternoon. We figured we wanted to go clockwise around the island and do the long leg of the clock first on Tuesday, or the first day, and then the short leg on the second day. And I had been on Instagram researching vendors who did e-bikes in Vis, and I found a really great place called Vis Special, and had interacted with them on Instagram. And then when we finally got there, I had referenced that we had been on Instagram together, and they were so excited that we had had kind of a relationship prior. We talked with them about the bicycles versus the e-bike story for Vis, and Steve being the big cyclist that, he's done the America's Most Beautiful Ride in Tahoe, and I think of myself as pretty fit too. I'm like, we don't need e-bikes, we'll just get regular bicycles.
We need e-bikes.
Yeah.
So this is the kind of place, and we're reaching the kind of point in our lives where e-bikes, they don't do all the work for you, right? You still have to pedal. You're still pedaling, but it's definitely that power assisted and motor that's assisting you as you're riding. And Vis is just straight up and straight down and straight up. We'll put
a geographical or a geological map here so you can see what the elevation changes are.
Really good.
So we made a deal with them. They gave us a great shoulder season special on 2 e-bikes. I think it was $60 or $65 for 2 bikes for 24 hours, right? And which we thought was quite the deal. And so we hopped on the bikes and off we went. And we went clockwise around the island, making a stop at the first beach, which was Milna. And it was just kind of, when we stopped there, it was super pretty, which we'll show you pictures of. But that was where Steve and I kind of gotten the vibe of, could we live here? And what would we do if we lived here? So we could imagine swimming all day in this nice shallow bay and relaxing on the beach, and then the wintertime holed up with a book. And it was just kind of this lifestyle that kind of turned on the romantic thoughts of a place. And it was just a really lovely place to kind of spark your inspiration.
For me, it's the kind of beach that you think that just exists on postcards, that it's just not a real place, or you really couldn't go there. But it was, very accessible, and for us to be on this beach was just really magical and just very romantic, and just something that you all should do.
Yeah. So then from there, we got back on the bikes and rode through up and down another side of hills and made it to Stiniva Beach, which, if you are familiar with with Mamma Mia, by the way, we have a blog post about this trip where all the locations and all of the vendors and all of the mapping is all in the blog post. So go to eatwalklearn.com, search on Vis, V-I-S, and you will find the blog post for everything we're talking about here. So we get to Stiniva Beach, and we're up on the top of the hill, or on the top of the high point, overlooking the beach. And Stiniva Beach is where there's a scene of younger characters and Mamma Mia. A backstory to their story is filmed with this beach in the background. It's also voted as Europe's prettiest beach. So we thought, my goodness, we've got to go see it. And Stiniva Beach is also one of the beaches that's on that tour, the Blue Cave, Green Cave tour thing that was really promoted in Split. So off we go. We get to the trail that goes down to the beach. And what happened? Yeah,
the trail is super steep and super rocky. And I think we could have maybe done it all the way. I went further down than Chris did. I was a little more bold and a little less exhausted because we'd already been out. It was getting kind of late in the afternoon by now. And but I got down to a point where I was able to take some pictures of the beach, and it is amazing. And I can see why almost everybody who goes to this beach comes to it by boat. they come at it from the water side instead of from the road side down the trail, because it is really hard to get to from the road. So
there are lots of scree, lots of rock. You could actually, with scrambling at the end of it. I mean, I didn't have boots on and I didn't have my poles with me. I had closed-toed shoes, but I just did not feel confident because it was really, really ragged and rough to get down there. So I just said,
given it, if we had more time and felt more adventurous and wasn't already so kind of hot and
had better
sunny
knees and 20
weather.
years younger, maybe.
Yeah.
Anyway, the trail was quite steep. Steve adventured it a little bit more than I did. Nonetheless, we took pictures. We definitely saw how pretty it was, but it's certainly, even on shoulder season, it was very busy and buzzing with a lot of boats and a lot of people. I can't imagine what it would look like during season. So anyway, so then from there we rode the rest of the way into Vis on the e-bikes, definitely taking advantage of that turbo on the e-bikes. Through the vineyards and the grape fields and the olive fields. And
again, just really seeing the beauty of this island, riding through the vineyards. Most of the crops have already been harvested for the year, but we did see some locals out there picking and harvesting.
Picking the grapes. Mm-hmm.
And
some of the olives were still ready to go.
Yep.
I mean, it was just old world charm. Like you couldn't even, I mean, Hollywood couldn't even do it as well. So then we went up and down around the switchbacks down into Vis. We were coming down. Komiza, and first we see it from on top of the mountain, and we're just agog about how gorgeous this cute little town is. So we make it into Komiza just in time for sunset, and we went out and sat. So originally we were going to go to the restaurant that's featured in Mamma Mia, where Harry and Bill are navigating how to get to Donna's house, and in this famous restaurant. And we thought we'd go there, and it's a lobster restaurant that certainly understands that tourism and tourists come to it, and a lot of the yachts come to it. So a real high dollar lobster restaurant that just was a little bit outside the vibe that we were looking for the night. So we settled for pictures instead, but we went to this local place called Zadruga, which had been recommended by a couple locals. And we just sat there, drank a beer, watched the sunset, watched the crews wearing their blue and white striped shirts coming off all of the yachts and things that are the liveaboard,
boats, the
liveaboard catamarans and things that were in the dock, and
boat taxis
and the boat taxis, and just watched life pass by as we watched the sunset and enjoyed our food. And you had a local dish there. What was it called?
Shivapi, right? Shivapi,
We're
which
trying
is
really hard to pronounce Croatian correctly.
Which is it's a local Croatian dish, Dalmatian coast dish, which was delicious. It was just
like a sausage
really
pita sandwich sort of thing.
Yeah.
And then I had fisherman's stew. It's rare that I'll eat fish, but when I'm in a situation that I think the fish might be really stellar, I got it. And the fisherman's stew was actually a bean and barley stew with just a few pieces of fish in it that I actually shared with the local cat, Fang. Here's a picture of Fang. He loved my scallop. So Fang was ugly and mean, but he was a good beggar. So we gave him a little scallop. Anyway, had a wonderful night. And then the next morning, we took a walk around town and took some more pictures and enjoyed just some of the really nice local life of Vis. We got kind of out away from the tourist scene and into the local scene. And then it was about 11 o'clock and the sun had warmed up nicely, so we took a nice little dip in the local beach.
Went swimming, found some sea glass along the shoreline. Just had a lovely time in this little town, again, because we're in the shoulder season. There weren't a lot of tourists around. It was quiet, and it was really enjoyable.
I think that crisp Adriatic Sea invigorated our legs to get back on the e-bikes after they got recharged. We probably didn't have to charge them up overnight. We had the chargers with us, but I think we had enough charge left on the battery to get back. But anyway, it's switched back straight up out of Vis for Komiza, for about a 2,000 foot elevation climb. And only maybe 4 or 5 kilometers up. So very steep going up, but the e-bikes, you just put it in, is that high gear or low gear?
Well, if you're going uphill, you want to put it in low gear,
the lowest,
and then you put the charge on
the highest
turbo.
Yeah.
And
so we're in the lowest gear on the highest setting on the battery, and up we went. You get to the top, and you certainly have worked your legs, and you certainly have broken a sweat, but it's not the leg work and the sweat you would do on a regular bike. So we get to the top, and then it was all downhill into
downhill.
Vis. I mean, we were hitting probably 40 or 45 kilometers going downhill.
At least.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A little scary.
Okay.
You got to get out of your head.
We got some nice speed going going downhill.
So then when we got back into Vis was also a place where a lot of the Mamma Mia scenes were done. The Greek taverna that is mentioned where Donna lives is featured in Vis along with the Greek market. So we went and found the stairs where the place where a lot of people were met as they were coming in off the boats to come in and meet Donna, the character. We were on those steps, and then we were in the market area where a lot of the grocery or the market scenes were shot.
In the church.
And then we rode bikes out to the church where Alexio is trying to find his bride. So we went out to the church, and on the way we saw this catamaran that was named Mamma Mia 2, and kind of wondered who owned the Mamma Mia 2 catamaran. I'm thinking it was the deacon at the church. So then we grabbed some pizza at where the Greek tavern was. And just at Dionysus Pizza Charlie's, I think it was. All this information is in the blog post with all the links and the locations exactly are in the blog post at eatwalklearn.com. And by the way, if you're new here, thank you so much for coming and joining us. Please give us a subscribe because we're trying to hit 700 this week. And then we dropped the bikes off and got on the boat and left and just had one of the best. So for about $150, that's about right. Yeah, about $150. We had an amazing 24 hours in Vis, and a little bit more than half the price that the tour guides would have charged us if we had done the blue cave, green cave thing.
Go out on the boat, see a beach, go into a cave, and then come back.
Yeah, but not our style. So we're so glad to hack our own trip. Hope you have enjoyed it. Again, if you have questions, check out the blog post. If you have questions and you don't want to check out the blog post, you write them below. What's one of the most romantic trips you've ever been on? We'd love to recreate it. So drop that down below in the comments. Oh, look at you. You're so sweet. We'll see you next week.